It's really a pleasure to be here, and I thank you, Lamar, for inviting me and my family, Rachel and Chris. Marcia and I lived in Columbus twice. 5 years, I was manager of Cadet Dairies. Someone stole my cow up there I had on the hill. And I left Columbus and went into business, and then later on got back in the dairy business, and I came back to Columbus for 5 years as manager of Wells Dairy. So the dairy business has been my livelihood. But to give you a little bit about FCA, when I was in the Marine Corps, it was during the Korean conflict. I was a member of the Marine Reserves in Rome, Georgia. And at that time, I had been to Clemson 1 year and played freshman ball for Frank Howard. But the reason I had joined the Marine Corps was every time we played a softball game, it counted as a drill, and I got paid for it. So Frank Howard to ask me, I called him and I said, "Hey, Coach, looks like I'm not going to be there this year. I've been called into the Marine Corps." And he said, "Well, who's your commanding officer?" I said, "It's a Colonel Umstead." He said, "Gosh, he used to play in for me. I'll have you out in a week." And in a week, I was at Camp Lejeune. But while at Camp Lejeune, I had the opportunity to play football with several guys from different colleges. In fact, the general met our train, and he said, "If we've got any athletes in here, especially football players, we just shipped our old team to Korea. And we've got to have a team to fulfill our schedule this year and entertain the troops." And so I went with him then and got into the football program at Camp Lejeune. And I had our quarterback, y'all might not remember, there may be some, well, there's not anybody old enough here to know that he played, but his name was Harry Aganis. They called him the Golden Greek. You might remember in baseball, he played first base for the Boston Red Sox. And I was walking down the stairs one day, and Harry said, "Ken," said, "have you ever heard of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, we had that at Boston University, and we were just getting it started. And I'm trying to get a group here to start the Fellowship of Christian Athletes." So I attended the first meeting there with Harry and some more of the guys. And within a month, I got transferred to NAPS, which is Naval Academy Preparatory School. And so I didn't keep up with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, but I could read of what they had done to Christian bulletins and things of this nature. And it was a wonderful organization. I think it really has helped hold young people and build their belief in spirit. When we started the Fellowship of Christian Athletes here in Columbus, Georgia, I called every minister in the phone book and told them what we were trying to do. And I told that I was in the Kiwanis Club here in Columbus, and I was been elected to do something that our club would be proud of and would help the community. And I talked to all the high school coaches, and I knew most of them because at that time you could help recruit for your university and not violate any NCAA rules. And so Fred Combs, who was made All-American at Clemson, he was the recruiter of this area, and I worked with him. And we solicited several boys from Columbus and the surrounding area to play at Clemson. And the one guy that helped me more than anything is our arch enemy now, Alabama, was Coach Davis at Columbus High School. And he was very instrumental in helping get the other coaches interested in Fellowship of Christian Athletes because it was new to a lot of them. But it was a wonderful organization, and I appreciate the opportunity I had to work with a group that we started in Columbus, and I congratulate you for the success you all have had in the future. And there's one thing that I would like to say that, you know, they said, well, who do you play for? And I played for Frank Howard, and I'll tell you a story on Frank. He had gone down to Alabama. Bear Bryant was a good friend of his, and they played ball together. And at one spring practice. And of course, at that time, Bryant had this platform he had above the field, and he would microphone, talk to people and stuff. And then Frank couldn't imagine not being down there. He would get down there and hit with the boys sometimes. But after the session was over, the practice was over, he went into Bear's office. And Bear had a telephone, red and black, on his desk. And Frank said, Bear, I've never seen a red and black telephone before. He said, what's that for? And he reached over, he said, but don't get that, Frank. Said, that's a direct line to heaven. Frank, and Bear said, it really is expensive to call from here. And Frank said, well, I don't think I better do that, because back then coaches weren't making $1 million a year. So another couple of seasons went by, and Bear came up to visit Frank. And he went out to the practice session, and after it was over, he went into Frank's office, and Frank had an orange telephone in purple on his desk. He said, Frank, what in the world you got it? He said, that's a direct line to heaven, Bear. Bear said, well, I'd call it, but it'd be too costly long distance. And Frank said, it's not long distance from here, Barry. But I thank you all. And one other thing, we've got a great coach up there now, Coach Sweeney. And he's a coach that if I was having my children to play for now, I would love for him to play. But one story got out that he was reported to NCAA one time because of he was taking boys to church and was reported. And the NCAA investigator came to Clemson, and he talked to him and says, well, if you're going to cite me as breaking the rules for taking boys to church, you be here next Sunday and you can write me up again. All right, y'all.